Colts are wrapping up their Monday availability. Yes, they reported back to the Colts complex today, so Chap's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. And Bob Halloran from the ABC station in Boston, WCVB, we'll catch up with him as well, get the Patriots side of things. As all of a sudden, man, New England, after they beat Denver a couple of weeks ago, now all of a sudden all focus is on New England, because back in week 4, and again, we'll get to this later in the show, but back in week 4 when they lost to Kansas City, we all thought the end was near.
Well, I mean, at that point they were 2-2. You know,
right.
They lost their opening game of the season to the Miami Dolphins. They lost pretty handily, almost 2 scores. Then they win a couple ball games, and then they lose to Kansas City in Kansas City.
41-14.
Get blown out. But now they're won their last 5.
Right.
You know, they beat the Patriots, the Broncos handedly a couple weeks ago. They did have a bye week. But, you know, they had some things going their way, too. I mean, 3 of their last games have been at home. They got to go on the road to come see us.
Right.
On the road this season, they're only 2-2. Both their losses have come on the road. So, I mean, there's things that are going to play in our favor for this game that I think will give us a really good chance to beat the Patriots.
What are the odds, by the way? You talked about the bye. The Patriots are coming off the bye. The Giants last week came off a bye. And then next week, the Jaguars will be coming off. The Colts have to play 3 teams in a row.
They're stacking
coming off
the cards
bye weeks.
against us.
Where's the scheduling gods on that?
It's not fair. At least they gave us a little bit of a help by giving us the bye week the same week as the Patriots, you know. So we had a little rest time. And Coach Pagano did a great job with the bye week. I really thought that after the Giants win, having them come in Monday, watch the film, and then give them the entire week off was really good for those guys to kind of get away from football, relax, recoup, and get ready to hit this stretch running. And, you know, Grigson said it best. You can't come back, and there can't be a lull after the bye week. You got to be coming back when feet hit the ground, and you got to be running, and you got to finish this last stretch of the season strong, just because of the fact now the jockeying for position for the playoffs starts to happen. I mean, we got a 2-game lead in the AFC South. Looks pretty strong. We're going to win the division, but now you kind of jockey on who you want to play, where you want to play. Do we get the bye week first round? And that's what November and December are all about.
You're either going to get better over the bye week, or you're going to get worse.
There's no staying the same.
You're not going to stay the same.
Exactly.
You know, just look at the Chicago Bears last night.
Well, the Bears, I don't know what's going on with the Bears. They're in a funk right now. I really thought that, you know, with the playmakers they have, the coaching staff that they put into place, they gave Jay Cutler a long-term deal. I really thought they had the cards in the right spot to make a run this season, and it's not looking that way. I mean, they absolutely got throttled. I mean, by the time I turned on the game last night, it was 28-0.
Right.
So it was just
you flipped it on for 5 minutes. Yeah, I can't watch this anymore.
I can't watch
this. The thing is, you know, Aaron Rodgers almost broke the NFL record for touchdown passes.
I was rooting for him. I was rooting for him when he had, I think, 6 by halftime.
Yeah.
And then coming out of halftime, I wanted him to get 2 more, and they had the chances. I mean, Randall Cobb had the ball fumbled inside the 5-yard line. Then they got down there again, and he threw a pass that was incomplete, and they had to kick a field goal. But I was actually rooting for him to break that record. I mean, that was what that game was all about anyway.
Why were you rooting for him? Was that like a number 12 thing?
It's
you
a quarterback
for all number 12s?
thing. You know, I was a Green Bay Packer fan when I was at the University of Wisconsin.
Of course, your Wisconsin days.
So
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I forgot.
And Aaron Rodgers, I think he's good with the media. He's a good football player. He does things the right way. He says the right things. I like how poised he is. He's not that. He's 30-some.
Well,
he sat behind Favre for a little while before he actually got to play. So, but I liked how he didn't balk at that. He just kind of knew what his role was at that point, and then finally got the chance to start and just kind of soared. And he's doing it with some. They're finally starting to put pieces of the puzzle around him to make his life easier.
Right. All right, you spoke
enough about the Packers.
Enough about the Packers and the Bears, because that was really bad last night. Anyway, let's talk about the AFC South standings. You talked about that. A 2-game lead as the Colts head into now Week 11 of the NFL, 6-3. Houston now 4-5. Tennessee lost to the Ravens yesterday, 21-7. So they fall to 2-7. Jacksonville still. How did they beat Cleveland?
You know,
that's what I want to know.
And Cleveland's playing really good. I mean, they beat Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football handedly.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is really starting to show, and we got to go to Cleveland. So that game is starting to worry me a little bit more as the season progresses.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and who knows, we might be talking seeding in December. So
because they jumped up and took the AFC North by surprise.
Exactly.
And then Pittsburgh lays an egg against the New York Jets. Who would have thought that coming? I mean, a lot of crazy stuff happens this weekend.
It's the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. Jacksonville, by the way, lost to Dallas over in London 31-17. So now the Colts, here they sit, 3 straight at home, followed by 3 out of 4 on the road. Of course, we've got the Patriots, as Bill Polian would call them, relentlessly through his 14 years at the Colts. We've got the Patriots next Sunday. Then they host the Jaguars. Then they host Washington.
Yep.
So 7 games remaining. Conservatively, I think and we can do this because we're not members of the team. You're probably looking at 5-2 in these remaining 7 games.
And I would say that would be being conservative.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
you're looking at 11-5.
Matching what they did the last 2 years, yeah.
And not only are you making the playoffs, excuse me, you might be looking at a top 2 seed. If you can get things done maybe with New England on Sunday.
I think you have to win at least 6 games from here on out to start looking at one of the top 2 seeds. I can't see. Now, I don't think Denver's schedule is really all that hard. They did have Oakland yesterday. They beat up on Oakland. As it goes on, I don't think their schedule is as hard going down the stretch. The Patriots, they get tough. They play us, and then they get Detroit at home, and then they got to go to Green Bay and go to San Diego. So they're looking at a really tough stretch where they might kind of come back to earth a little bit. But in order to get that 1 or 2 seed, I do think you have to win at least 12 games, and that means we would have to win 6 of our last 7.
What impressed you about the Giants Monday night game?
Well, I mean, the fact that how we bounced back. I mean, there was no carryover from the Pittsburgh Steelers games. Everybody kind of saw it as like an anomaly. We go into Pittsburgh. It's what we do in Pittsburgh. We get blown out. It happens. Pittsburgh is kind of like the Colts. What's Superman?
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite. It's the Colts' kryptonite. So I just felt like the way we didn't let that loss kind of linger and affect us, and we kind of went in there and we jumped on the Giants. But I like the way, even though the first half, up and down. I mean, we weren't killing them, and then we come out the third quarter and we had 3 straight drives where we scored touchdowns and really put that game away. I like that. I liked how we bounced back.
Were you surprised? Last thing, Brad Brown is standing by, again, parts unknown, Skyping here in just a second. But were you surprised that the Giants really took nothing away from what the Steelers did to the Colts? Bunch formations, jamming guys at the line. These are all things that Pittsburgh did very well the previous week. To me, the Giants didn't take any of that away and just played their own game.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what the Giants' game plan was coming into the game. They did a really good job defensively putting pressure on Andrew Luck. Ayers really got to him, knocked him down, hit him.
Right.
He went out of the game, came back in. So I thought their defense actually played pretty well. It was the big chunk plays that their secondary gave up that really kind of forced the action for us.
Right.
Offensively, it just they just seem out of sync. You lose Victor Cruz, and then you lose Rashad Jennings, and you're relying on a lot of young guys, a couple rookies in a couple key spots.
Odell Beckham looks like a stud, though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
he really does.
For years to come.
He really does, and he had another nice game yesterday against the Seattle Seahawks, and a game that I didn't expect the Giants to be in at all, and they were in the game until the end of the game. So you don't know what you're going to get from the Giants, and it was like that when I was there. They would lose games they shouldn't lose and commit penalties they shouldn't commit, and then end up making a run at the end of the season and getting in the playoffs. That's not going to happen this year. I can't see them doing very well here on out.
Yeah. All right, Skype lines. Let's go right to it. Brad Brown is standing by. Remember, he was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I was coming to you from Hoboken, of all places, getting ready for the Monday night game. Let's see here. You are, it looks like, where are you, Brad? Hi. Get that smile.
Come on, Dave. Come on, I made it to City Market downtown for
City Market?
Qualifies
Farmers
City
Market? Yeah.
Yeah, right in the heart of downtown. I'm looking for breakfast at 12:30 on a Monday afternoon. You have to remember, I have to set an alarm to get ready for this thing on Monday. So I managed to get out of bed and find something, motivate me to get over here to find something to eat. So I'm going to take a walk. We're going to walk and talk and see what we can find for snacks and drinks this afternoon.
Brad, I got to tell you, the facial hair, I mean, I'm digging the facial hair, brother.
Really?
I am.
Wow.
I mean, it's coming in nice. It actually, I mean, maybe from a guy that can't grow that
so you're
in
jealous,
myself, so I'm a
what
little
you're
bit
saying.
jealous of what he's got going on.
So that's one vote yes, Brad.
That's one. That's good. The only vote that'll really matter inevitably is what the boss thinks of it. If the boss tells me to shave, I'm going to have to shave the thing off to be on TV. But for the time being, it's gone pretty well. It started on vacation a couple weeks ago, and then I had somebody ask me last week. They said, "Are you doing this no shave November thing?" I said, "Sure."
There you go.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Go with it.
So whatever the cause is for that, I'm on board with it, and I probably ought to figure out what I need to research to be on board with.
Yeah.
Make sure. I think I got to get my prostate checked or something to go along with this, but. I probably do for that anyway, so we'll see.
We'll save that for a different show.
Just tell them it's for hunting season.
It's for
it's hunting
it's getting
season.
cold out. Yeah, it's going to be 30 degrees on Friday night this weekend when we're back out for high school football. So I think that's a good excuse to hang on to this.
I'm enjoying the looks that you're getting as you walk and talk. Some folks are looking at you like, what the hell is going on here?
I'm pretty sure I'm the only guy walking around City Market Skyping right now trying to figure out what looks good. Look, we got chocolates here. Look at this.
Wow, look at that, huh?
There, look at that. That sounds pretty good. I think I need food though, so we're going to keep walking.
Big week.
I heard you guys. Yeah. I heard you guys talking about the conversation on the bye week here and the standings and the Colts trying to kind of get things figured out on that. I don't know. What'd you say? Did you say something else there?
No, I said there was another guy behind you that was kind of looking at you over the shoulder, giving you like a...
Yeah.
What?
They got cookies. You guys need cookies?
No.
I'll never say no to cookies.
In there? All right. We'll see about that.
You don't see any Patriots fans in there, do you?
No, not yet. I don't see any Colts jerseys yet either, though. So those usually don't roll around here till about Thursday. I think. This place is busy right now. I can't believe how busy this is on a Monday. I'm impressed. City Market's killing it today.
You don't see Robin Miller over there, do you? He usually hangs out and has lunch at City Market, so.
No, but you'll know if Miller's here because you'll hear him from about 100 feet away.
That's a good point. Our
Holy
buddy
court
Robin
with
Miller.
the locals here. Now.
So big week. You ready to go this week? Patriots coming to town.
I think so. You know, the Sunday night game, you got the bye week to kind of reset the whole season. You got a chance here to really kind of get a grasp on what this team's going to be all about. I think we were kind of discussing that amongst ourselves in the office last night, that this is going to be the game that we kind of figure out which Colts team. I think Sorgi was talking about, is it the Colts team we saw at Pittsburgh or is it the Colts team we saw at Cincinnati? Chap talked about that on the show last night as well, trying to just see if this is a team that could really make a run at more than just making the playoffs. It really make a run at, say, a 1 or a 2 seed and make a run at maybe making the AFC title game in the Super Bowl beyond that. So, and it's the Patriots.
Yeah.
And it's a Sunday night, and it's all that. And it doesn't take much to get fired up for a game like that.
I think, and that's going to be a popular question throughout the week, which team do the Colts have? Is it the team that showed up in New York, or is it the team that showed up in Pittsburgh? I would lean towards the one that showed up at the Meadowlands.
Well, I think that's the team we've seen more often.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I mean, everybody's argued about who we've played, and we haven't won the big games, you know, against the Denvers and the Philadelphias and the Pittsburghs and this. But I think winning 6 of the last 7 games and proving that we're the team that we can only play who's on the field playing against us. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when it's all said and done, that's the team that's going to show up more often than not. I think we started to get a little bit high on ourselves, and I think that Pittsburgh we ran into a buzzsaw. They came out and they played a phenomenal football game, and they did the same thing the next week against the Baltimore Ravens, and then they came out against a New York Jets team on the road and laid an egg and got beat up. And they didn't play their best game. The Jets played a really good game, and they lose. That's the NFL. Home and away mean a lot. If you're playing at home, it's such an advantage to the home team than it is the away team. And just a few errors here and there can really turn a game around, and then you're playing catch-up, and then you start making more errors, and that's what happened to Pittsburgh against the Jets. They turned the ball over early, the Jets got a lead, and then they just couldn't battle out of that hole.
Brad, we remember the last time the Patriots were in town, didn't go so well in that Super Bowl thing that happened at Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm just wondering if Gisele Bundchen's coming for the game or not.
Ooh, I don't know. You know, the last we saw of Gisele in Indianapolis, she was weeping down the tunnel at Lucas Oil Stadium.
I'm not sure she was weeping. She was actually cursing at folks on her way out, saying that Tom can't throw and catch at the same time. So
that was it. Yeah, I saw that with my own eyes. It was one of the more bizarre things from that. That was Super Bowl weekend was interesting, but that was quite the capper to the Sunday night right there. That is hard to forget. So we'll see. They've got it dialed in right now. And having the extra week and giving them a chance to plan, this could be a handful. But I think that Pagano and his guys have proven that their preparation for most games, again, the Pittsburgh game being kind of the anomaly of the season, they'll be ready for this. We know if nothing else, and it's just going to come down to being able to execute and get it done on Sunday night.
Yeah, Brad makes a good point. When you give Bill Belichick an extra week to get ready for a team, that usually doesn't bode well.
Hopefully he prepares too much. He over-prepares for the Colts, you know.
I like the way you think. So it's possible. You can over-prepare.
It is possible, but I do think we got some things going our way. Like I said, we're at home. And the 2 of their losses have come on the road. I think this game's going to come down to the turnover battle.
Sure.
I mean, and that's what they've done really well this year. They're plus 12 in the turnover battle. Tom Brady has only thrown 3 interceptions all year, which has really helped them. Their offensive line has gotten better. They did lose a couple of big-name guys. Stephen Ridley out with an MCL, ACL, but Shane Vereen is doing a good job running the football, catching the football out of the backfield. They lost their leading tackler at the time, Gerard Mayo, but he's still the second leading tackler on the team, even though he hasn't played the last couple of weeks with a torn patellar tendon. He got put on IR. But they got guys stepping up. Their offensive line is playing much better than it did 5 weeks ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. But that's what it's going to take. We have to get after Tom Brady, make him feel uncomfortable, get him off the spot, and we got to force some turnovers. They don't turn the ball over a lot. They get turnovers. And our wide receivers got to win the one-on-one matchups with their safeties, Devin McCourty, Patrick Chung, and Brandon Browner and Darrelle Revis, and we can't let them get to Andrew Luck. We win the ball game. Simple as that.
Brad, we're going to cut you loose. What'd you find, though, for lunch?
Look, we did really good. Breakfast, Dave. I just got out of bed. We don't do lunch until about 3 o'clock.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Brunch.
Look, produce. Look, we found something fresh at the market. See, that'll be a very nice way to start the day. Ultimately, I'm probably going over to the crepe stand to get something that's got eggs and bacon in it. So it'll be a good day.
Okay, just keep it low carb. You'll be okay.
I'll work out later.
There you go. Brad Brown joining us from City Market. Have a great day, Brad. We'll see you Wednesday at the Colts Complex.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks, buddy. All right, inside the numbers. We talked a lot about the Patriots. We're going to do so a little bit later. In fact, Mike Chappell is also standing by at the Colts Complex. We'll get his thoughts as the players just wrapped up their availability. Chuck Pagano as well, so we'll see what other juicy topics are out there right now. But inside the numbers we go, and the team leaders right now for the Colts, I mean, I don't think you can talk enough about Ahmad Bradshaw.
Yeah, you can. You can keep talking about him, because that's what he does. That's what he can bring to your ball club, and that's him not playing half the snaps. I mean, that's him, being not really the number 2 guy, but a guy coming in and spotty.
What he's done coming off the neck procedures as well.
He needed time to get healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what it was all about. He needed time for that foot to heal. He needed time for that neck to get healthy. But you saw it. You got a glimpse of it last year against San Francisco, and now you get to see it through the entire season. And we're doing a heck of a job of really keeping him fresh and healthy throughout this entire season, because that was the goal coming in. The reason you have 2 running backs is to keep both of them healthy, and we've done a phenomenal job of it.
T.Y. Hilton has been phenomenal as well. He's right now second behind Antonio Brown of the Steelers in yards this season, 937 and counting, 3 touchdowns. Reggie Wayne, 504 yards and 2 touches. Really haven't seen much of Reggie, but I tend to believe that a game like New England, he's going to get up for.
Yeah, I would believe so. We haven't seen a lot of him. He's been dinged up a little bit. He had the elbow. He missed a game. His presence out there, his leadership is what's he's bringing to this ball club right now. And he's always going to be there. He's always going to make a big play, a big touchdown catch, a big third down catch. He's always going to be there. And that's what you have him on the team for right now. The other guys are going to be the big playmakers. He's going to be the steady guy that's always in there, always making the play at the right time when you need him.
We talked about Ahmad coming back. How about Dwayne Allen?
Yeah, phenomenal year.
Team high 7 touchdowns, 374 yards and counting. And you talk about guys looking fresh. He's looked fresh every game.
Yeah, he catches the ball. He's always there, possibly for a big play, take it all the way to the house. T.Y. Hilton's the same way, 937 yards, the touchdown catch he had against the Giants where he took it away from Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie was a phenomenal catch. He's just a big play guy, and we put him in situations to go downfield, make the play, but the crossing routes where he catches it, turns up the field, and gets a bunch of yards after the catch. He's a bright shining star in this league. Dwayne Allen is the same way, and you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, that's why you get the number 1 offense, the number 1 in points, number 1 in passing yards, and when it all is clicking.
One last thing before we head to Mike Chappell, who's again standing by at the Colts Complex. You saw the graphic there with the 2 leading defensive stars, I guess, if you will, in DeQuell Jackson and Mike Adams. And the irony is these 2 guys were on different teams last year, and they have now come out of the Colts and made an immediate impact this season.
Yeah, came to the Colts and found a home. I mean, DeQuell Jackson, he's that guy. He was that guy in Cleveland, the hunter tackle guy, the guy that gets after the quarterback, plays sideline to sideline. They let him go because of age and cap reasons. Obviously, we felt like he wasn't done yet. That's why we signed him, and he's doing a heck of a job. Mike Adams, he's the guy you bring in because you're not sure about Delano Howell. He ends up starting. 44 tackles, 2 picks, 2 of our 6 interceptions. Toller's got 2, Vontae's got 2. We need to do a better job of that in the back end, but the play of Mike Adams, he's hitting people. He made a couple big hits in the last couple games, and he's really shown to be that experience, that veteran guy in that back end that really makes everything go.
Credit Ryan Grigson, to pick up guys like that. We haven't even talked about special teams guys in Adam Vinatieri and Pat McAfee.
Yes.
It's the best special teams in the NFL.
Yeah,
right now, so.
Kicking the ball great, both the guys, but the coverage units are what's making Pat McAfee. I mean, he's kicking out of the end zone on kickoffs, but when they do bring it out, tackles inside the 20, tackles inside the 15, punt coverage, he's punting at 50 yards and getting no yards on the return. All those guys are playing really well together, and you can see it. They're having fun. They're coming off the sidelines, high-fiving, jumping and bumping backs and hips and stuff like that. That's what you want to see.
Pat McAfee at a league-high 46 touchbacks so far this season. All right, Mike Chappell joins us from the Colts complex as they just wrapped up their availability. Chuck Pagano spoke, several players as well. What's the take out there at the complex today, Mike?
Two things. One, LaRon Landry plays Sunday night, but he won't start. Sergio Brown's going to start another game, and he's amped, as you can imagine. Sergio being, we basically had to tell him that he's starting. He didn't know, or he was acting like he didn't know. And the other thing is everyone's talking about how they're going to cover Rob Gronkowski. It's funny, and I understand the sentiment, but it's like, well, the Colts can't cover tight ends. Well, if another team has a tight end, no one covers tight ends. Watch Jimmy Graham and Gronkowski and all these guys who are Dwayne Allen. People have trouble covering tight ends because they're just matchup nightmares. You put a safety on him, well, he's too small. You put a linebacker on him, well, he's too slow and sometimes too small. So, I think that's what makes these tight ends so hard to cover is, the matchup issues, and that's what the Colts are going to face on Sunday. Who do you have on this guy? And the problem is he's going to make plays. He's going to make plays. Don't let him go bonkers and have 2 or 3 touchdowns and 10 catches, and that's the challenge.
And that is the age-old problem. You go back to week 1 and Julius Thomas for Denver.
Yeah,
he's done it everywhere.
If I'm not mistaken, it was like he had 3 touchdowns, and he had them against the safety and 2 different linebackers. So, this is not a great cover team on linebackers, although I think Jarrell Freeman's pretty good. I think he's pretty good. What hurt him early on is he was out and they had DeQuell Jackson trying to cover, and that's simply not what he does. And I'm not so sure that having LaRon Landry back this week helps you in coverage. I don't think he's he'll hit you. I don't think he's a great cover safety. So we'll see, but I think it'll help to have Jarrell Freeman back and really kind of getting his feet under him after missing some games with injuries.
Of course, the old joke out there, Chap, is that LaRon Landry barely talks to the teammates, let alone the media. So I'm sure he opened up today, right? He talked to everybody today?
We didn't see him. We're told he will talk on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So, now we've elevated ourselves to he's a one-day-a-week guy, and it's getting to the point that we don't care what he says. We just want to make him talk. If all these other players can talk 2 and 3 times a week, and by league rules you can have like 2 players talk once a week. So we get Reggie on Fridays now. So now we get LaRon Fridays. It's getting to be, I don't say out of hand, but it's getting to be where we in the media just talk. Just talk because you're getting to be a story because you're not playing, you're not talking, and it shouldn't be that way. But hey, I'm circling Friday on my calendar because I can't wait to talk to LaRon Landry.
Hey, Chappie.
Tongue-in-cheek, by the way. Tongue-in-cheek.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
Hey, it's Sorgi here. I mean, these Pats are coming off 5-game winning streak. I mean, they just beat the Broncos at home. Obviously, they lost 2 games. The 2 of the losses have come on the road. The 2 losses all season. Is there any talk about Bill Belichick and the fact that he has a couple weeks to prepare for this game, and Tom Brady only throwing 3 interceptions, playing lights out, and some of these role players starting to play well, offensive line? But the most important thing, Bill Belichick, 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You give him 2 weeks. He's tough to beat, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, the prevailing sentiment is what Belichick has always done. Let's go back to when you were here with the Manning years. He's excellent at taking away what you want to do best, whether that was Marvin Harrison, whatever. What Pagano calls it making you play left-handed, which I was mentioning. Well, if you're a left-handed player, then they're playing into your strength. But the thing is, that chances are very good they're not going to let T.Y. and Andrew Luck just play pitch and catch. Now, last year in the playoffs, I think T.Y. had 4 catches for 100 and some yards, but overall he wasn't a big factor. Game long, so they make you go somewhere else. Well, normally that's a problem with the Colts. Okay, you've got Reggie, you've got a couple tight ends going to hurt you, you've got some running backs going to hurt you. So in that case, going left-handed, then maybe it's not as big of a deal. But he's always been very good through the years of taking away and Marvin Harris is not as big of a factor. So that's what's going to be interesting, is how do the Colts combat maybe not having T.Y. as their number one option, but still, recognizing it, but still making a point to keep T.Y. involved in the game because he's a big play guy.
Well, let's take it a step further then, and let's try to get into the mind of Bill Belichick, which I know is a scary proposition right there. But what do you try to take away then? What is it? Do you try to take away T.Y. Hilton, or do you try to take away Ahmad Bradshaw? What is the focus?
No, I try to take away T.Y. Hilton. I just don't let T.Y. because with Ahmad Bradshaw running and receiving, he's going to get you 6-7 yards running and 12-13 yards receiving. Well, T.Y. will get you 80. So I just don't think they want to where this turns into a track meet with T.Y. running free like he's done.
Right.
So I think what they try to do is at least you're not going to shut down T.Y. Hilton because last year he was the only guy for half the season, and he still put up Pro Bowl type numbers. So it's just you just make it very hard for Luck to get to T.Y. And his Luck told us today, he said the Patriots are good because they make you earn every yard, which they do. So I think you focus on T.Y., but you can't forget the other guys because all of a sudden you kept T.Y. to 2 catches for 40 yards, and Reggie's got 8 for 120, and Dwayne Allen's got 2 touchdowns. So that's the strength of the Colts offense. If they take away T.Y. Hilton, you've got other places to go.
Absolutely. What are you going to be writing about this afternoon, Chap?
I think I'm going to write about Sergio Brown sort of holding fort until LaRon Landry gets back in shape. I think that will be sooner rather than later.
Well, a question for you on that. I mean, is it holding the fort till LaRon Landry gets back, or is it holding the fort because it's his fort to hold?
Yeah, that's a great question.
No, I think he's holding the fort until LaRon Landry gets back. And I understand what you're saying. My only thing with Sergio is I don't know that he's done anything to lose the job, but and maybe that's enough. But I don't know that he's had those great plays where you can say, hey, he's head and shoulders above LaRon Landry now. Because the thing is, I just can't get out of my mind the fact that Landry's got a 4-year, $24 million contract, and at some point, I mean, what's he going to do, help you on special teams? Can you imagine LaRon Landry going down covering punts? I mean, you can see Sergio doing that. So that's the problem, is I think they're going to get back sooner rather than later to LaRon being in the starting lineup.
Gotcha.
All right, Mike Chappell, thank you so much for checking in from the Colts Complex. We'll read your stuff later this afternoon on the IndyChannel.com. Thanks, buddy.
Talk to you later. See you, Jim.
All right.
Bye, Chappie.
That'd be very interesting to see how, and I've talked to Sergio Brown a number of times. Great kid.
Yeah, phenomenal.
So I'm sure he's going to do the right thing, and if he gets bounced back to special teams or whatever, he'll be phenomenal at that. I don't see him being one of those guys that's going to stir it up.
No, he's not going to make a
gonna
big deal about it
in the future.
He's not going to make a deal about it.
If that decision is made.
I do think that he's proven that he can play on this defense and do a good job.
Right.
Okay. I don't think anybody on this team is going to make a big deal about getting bounced back, and I feel like everybody's got the same goal in mind. Everybody's got the pinnacle that everybody wants to reach. So
hoist it, baby.
And I think Sergio Brown is one of those team guys that if you ask me to go back on special teams and go down there and cover punts and go down there on kickoff and hit somebody and create turnovers, that's what I'm going to do. And then when my number's called again, I'll try to prove again that I belong on the starting defense. I think you've seen that all along places. You've seen it with Hugh Thornton against the Giants. Hugh Thornton did not start and did not play against the Giants. Lance Lewis did. Now, why was that? Who knows? Was it performance-based? Was it something like that?
Well, we heard of it, and we should have had Chap talk about that because that's a great point, because we heard that perhaps it was a disciplinary action by Chuck Pagano that they pulled Thornton and put Lance Lewis in there. So we'll see what happens this week, if it was just a one-game thing or not. But Lance did a nice job.
You did not have Hugh Thornton complaining. I saw him cheering on the sidelines, rooting on his guys, high-five when they came off sidelines. That's a guy not talking about what's going on. If it was disciplinary reasons or play reasons, performance reasons, he did not complain. He took it like a man, rooted his team on, had his helmet on, was ready to go when he needed to go, and that's how this team is.
Yeah. The cavalcade of stars continues. Standing by on the phone lines, Bob Halloran, who works at the ABC television station in Boston, WCVB, one of the great stations in the Northeast. It is always a pleasure when I'm dealing with these guys. Anyway, Bob, thanks so much for calling in and helping us out here on Horseplay as we talk about yet another Colts-Patriots what should be a classic Sunday night, don't you think?
That's what I'm expecting, quite honestly. I feel like the Patriots have become infinitely more interesting as the season has gone on because they struggled and because every game they've played up to this point, especially during the winning streak, has been kind of a yeah-but game. You know, It's like they beat Cincinnati, yeah, but Cincinnati's kind of a fraud team. They beat Buffalo, but they always do. Chicago comes in, and they've had some issues the week leading into it. So even when they beat Denver, the weather was such that Peyton Manning doesn't play well in those conditions, and they also gave up over 400 yards passing. So it's a yeah, but who are they still? Well, this is one on the road against a good team. There shouldn't be any yeah buts. If the Patriots can win this game, you know, we're printing tickets for Arizona at some point.
Tell me and take me back to Week 4 when the Patriots got blown out by Kansas City. And you know, everybody nationally, and I'm guessing there in Boston as well, thought the end was near. The whole Belichick Tom Brady thing, that's it. Enjoyed it while it lasted, but now it's over with. And now all of a sudden, this team wins 5 in a row. What turned it around, if anything, Bob?
Well, to answer that question quickly, I'd say Rob Gronkowski was the number one thing that happened. But just to go back to that game, it wasn't just that one. They lost at Miami. They struggled against Oakland. It was 4 games to start the season where this team that we thought had Brady and Gronk was back and Belichick leading the way, and the defense had the players and playmakers that they were, you know, this team was supposed to be a juggernaut again. And they came out for 4 weeks. Brady wasn't himself. The team wasn't playing well. And they got their butts kicked in Kansas City. And it was, wow, what is wrong with this team? And if you just look at the numbers very quickly, you'd say Rob Gronkowski had 3 touchdown passes in the first 4 games, but he was only catching 5 balls for 37 yards. He's coming back from that ACL, MCL, and everything. There's a lot of issues with this guy. All of a sudden, he's catching 8 balls for over 100 yards a game, and he is that threat. This Patriot offense, I don't know if I'm overstating it, but they are 2007 again. Gronkowski is Randy Moss. Julian Edelman is Wes Welker in a different form. You know, Moss is stretching the field, but Gronkowski is the same kind of a threat. They're putting 40 points up a game. And I'm just telling you, if the Colts team that had trouble against Pittsburgh plays on Sunday night, the Patriots put those 51 points up without even, you know, blinking. That offense is scary good right now. The question has been for the past few years, can the defense step up and make the plays? And that is still a question mark. If they can stop Andrew Luck and the Colts, that's a really good offense on the road. Then all of a sudden I think we start looking at this team differently.
Hey, Bob, Jim Sorgi here. You know, we look at this Sunday night game, and I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think? What are you expecting to see? What do you think you're going to see? How is this game going to go? What needs to happen for the Patriots to win? What needs to happen for the Colts to win, in your opinion?
I think this one's going to be very high scoring because I'm still not very sure about the Patriot defense. You know, the weather was bad against Denver. And again, the 400 yards and, you know, the turnovers and Peyton Manning's slow start kind of hindered Denver. But this team will give up some points. But I don't know who's stopping the Patriots the way they're playing right now. So I expect the Patriots to put up another 40 points. I don't know. It sounds like an exaggeration. It sounds like, well, how can you expect that every single week? But I asked Brady that question after the Denver game. You guys are averaging 40 points a game during this winning streak. That is not normal. Is it the new normal for the Patriots? And he kind of danced around and said, you know, we're just trying to play one game at a time, etc. But I'm wondering if 40 points a game is something we should expect from the Patriots. And I do think that the defense still a bit suspect. The Colts should be able to, you know, kind of keep with them, and we'll see who ends up scoring more. But I don't know what the over/under is for this one, but I'd say it's over 65.
It might be 80 by the time we get the game time or so. By the way, we've got some all the numbers and all the stats that the Patriots have been putting up, and it's rather impressive. I mean, Tom Brady, 22 touchdowns and 3 picks.
Yeah, that's
Bob.
amazing.
Tell me about defensively. Is Chandler Jones okay? Is he going to be able to play Sunday night?
No, I wouldn't expect him to be able to play. I don't have an update from the Patriots today. They're pretty tight lived on that kind of stuff
Really?
anyway.
Really?
Yeah, imagine that. And they want every team in the league to think that they're 100% healthy at all times.
Sure.
But no, when he first got hurt, we expected him to be out a month. That's only a few weeks back, so I wouldn't expect him to be out there. And quite honestly, Chandler Jones is on the list for me of the Patriots' defensive players who have the names that you're supposed to be concerned about, but that don't make nearly enough plays. So that's still a concern. Chandler Jones doesn't pressure the quarterback on a regular basis. He gets a sack here and there.
Right.
But when the Patriots are forcing turnovers against the Jay Cutlers of the world, or then even Peyton Manning in bad weather, I'm not that impressed. They force turnovers for the Colts in this game, then it will become a lopsided affair. That's been the formula for the Patriots' success. Is they do not turn the ball over because Brady only has 3 picks and they're not fumbling it away. And when they can force turnovers, then they just build such momentum.
Right.
They're scoring on returns and they're also not turning over. It's a scary good team when those things are working for them. But if they don't turn the ball over, they will give up yards and will give up points and will give up long scoring drives and not be able to get the ball back in time to do anything with it.
I bring up Chandler Jones for many reasons, one of which he is the younger brother to the Colts lineman Arthur Jones.
Yep.
So that
Right.
could have been a
That
storyline.
would have been fun.
Which would have been fun, but it looks like Chandler's not going to play Sunday night. A quick question, and we'll let you go, Bob. And thanks for joining us once again here on Horseplay. We're live at Palomino downtown here on RTV6, theindychannel.com. But how you look back at the 14 years the Colts had with Peyton, and eventually the salary cap caught up with the Colts. They had to jettison some guys. It doesn't work out. All of a sudden you get the neck with Peyton. They let him go. But it seems to me that the Patriots, with a couple more Super Bowl wins even, have been able to keep Brady and at least a nucleus and at least some success there together. How has it worked in New England where perhaps it hasn't worked in other cities around the country?
Yeah, I appreciate your thought on that, and I agree with it that they have been able to. And we have the debate frequently: is this a coaches league or is this a quarterbacks league? And well, I don't know what the answer is, but the Patriots have the best coach and the best quarterback, and I think you start there. And then they have a lot of middle-of-the-road talent, both offensively. They don't currently have a running back, so to speak.
Well, you've got to just price-wise, Bob, right? Just because you're paying Brady so much, that you've got to get some mid-range players that obviously complement one another and are still very successful when it's all said and done.
Right, and that's why I think that if you take a look at any given roster, compare it to another roster, there's going to be, highs and lows. But for the most part, if 52 guys on the roster even out, then you've got Tom Brady. You are a much better football team than any other team you're going to face. And I think that more often than not, when you have a league that is built upon parity and we're trying to level things out as much as possible, but you've got one of those quarterbacks. It might be Andrew Luck. It's certainly Aaron Rodgers. It's Peyton Manning. It's Tom Brady. It might be Ben Roethlisberger. If you've got one of those 7 guys that are elite in the NFL, then you get to be a 12 to 14 win team every year, and that's what the Patriots have had, that kind of consistency with the same head coach, and a very good one throughout that entire period.
Bob, thanks again for joining us. I envy the fact you're able to cover a team that is so successful for so long. I do not envy the fact, though, you have to deal with Bill Belichick on a daily basis. So. Mr. Personality.
It's not one of my prouder moments. I've said to others, he's beaten me down. I used to show up there every Wednesday morning and, okay, what's a really good question I could ask him that is going to elicit a great response, and then I'd phrase it in a certain way, and I go, here's the one, and then he just, shut it down. I'm like, whatever. So I'm not the most inquisitive reporter in the press conference area anymore.
Right.
But occasionally, I've met with Bill outside of the press conference room.
Right.
And he's much more engaging, much more interesting, much more willing to talk. And, he's still, a little bit, he's not the most effervescent person, you're ever going to meet, but he's much more friendly, open, and willing to smile. So I've actually seen the man smile.
I was going to say, wait a minute, you're saying Belichick's nice? What? Come on now.
He can be. You know, it's so funny when, like, every Wednesday, the PR guy for the Patriots, Stacey James, will say, last question. And I'm thinking, here's Bill's opportunity to take off, you know, just shut him down in 7 words. That last question is always the one he answers for the longest amount of time. I'm like, it's such a weird thing where you assume he's uncomfortable, he doesn't like the media, he wants to run away, and yet he doesn't seem to be in the world's biggest hurry to leave us. So I don't understand.
Maybe it's the idea that he knows it's the last question and he can get the hell out of there as soon as he's done, so maybe he just relaxes a little bit. Who knows? I don't know.
That might be it. Let his guard down just a bit.
Hey, Bob, thanks a lot for your time. Let us know if we can help you out this coming weekend, okay?
I enjoy it very much, and good luck to everybody.
All right.
You too.
Thanks, Bob Halloran from the ABC station in Boston, WCVB. Wrap things up. Your thoughts on Sunday. Who do you like? It's going to be very interesting just to see how the week plays out as the build-up continues for this game.
It's about time to beat the Patriots. We've lost the last 3, I believe, but since Andrew Luck's been here, we've lost the last 2. He's 0-2 against the Patriots, and we lost pretty handedly. I think we gave up 59 points back in 2012, lost 59-22. And then last year, 40-something to 24.
Had a huge game.
Yeah,
that too,
I think it's about time we get over the slide a little bit and beat the Patriots. But, I mean, you bring up a great point. They've been able to sustain for a very long time. So have the Colts. But there's been a lot of criticism in New England, too, that they haven't given Tom Brady the players that the Colts had given Peyton Manning, you know. And they seem to have done a little bit better this year. But free agent signs like Amendola haven't panned out. Brandon LaFell has done a really nice job for them this season. They did a good job on defense bringing in Darrelle Revis and Brandon Browner and those guys. So they did a little bit more in this free agent offseason to beat the Denver Broncos. But in years past, last couple of years, I mean, Tom Brady was really doing it on his own with the injuries to some of his key players. Aaron Hernandez going to jail, Gronkowski out, Wes Welker leaving. It was all riding on Tom Brady, and he did a really good job on his own. But I think that's how they've been able to sustain his great play. But it's time for the Colts to beat them. Don't turn the ball over against these guys. Get a couple turnovers against Tom Brady, and we're going to win this game.
The countdown officially begins tonight.
Let's go.
There we go.
Let's go right now.
Week 11 as the Colts take on the New England Patriots this coming Sunday night at Lucas Oil Stadium. Nice job.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a great call, by the way.
I appreciate that. It's going to be fun.
It will be fun. The Colts Radio Network. For all of us here at RTV6, thanks for tuning in. The IndyChannel.com, RTV6 app as well. Week 10, horseplay in the books.
In the books.
See you next Monday.